this position is untenable for Sam, or it's inconsistent, it's incoherent, and Sam doesn't even believe it, because Sam will believe that people can have solid positions on what God commands or what some morality commands, because we're going to agree on criminal stuff, right? Criminal stuff is the bedrock of codified morality.
My next claim is, unless you're a billionaire, a religious fundamentalist, or a xenophobic nationalist, voting for Trump was a mistake.
Jesus. Okay.
Okay, so let's tackle one aspect, religious fundamentalists. What benefit would religious fundamentalists get? And also, can you define what is a religious fundamentalist?
And maybe you could say more of like a Christian nationalist.
Okay.
In this instance. But things like, you know, the attacks on trans folks, the attacks on a woman's right to choose, the idea that we're going to get stuff like an enhanced RFRA, which is going to mean that if you're a pharmacist and you don't want to provide birth control, you may not have to.
Oh man, what? When you do these claims for Jubilee, they make you choose, like, you'll go into like 10 of them, and they have you choose the ones that are the most like provocative to get the best debate or conversation. But you're allowed to choose, or at least I was, when you do these. I feel like Sam is choosing the most nebulous, like conceptual ones, when he could be fighting on factual grounds way better. Like whether or not you feel like the Trump admin is serving you as a religious person, that you're fighting on super conceptual grounds there. And Sam is a smart guy. He knows facts. So why would you, I don't know why you would fight on grounds like this. What does nebulous mean? I don't know, like unclear, like kind of like, what are we talking about here exactly? Too much, yeah, I don't know.
Don't you think you're assuming that
if you believe that public education, we should take that money and pour it into religious schools, you're gonna get a benefit out of a Trump administration.
Yeah, but don't you think you're assuming that the vast majority of Americans who are moderates?
Like, what do you think you're gonna get out of the Trump administration?
Economic relief. That was
what kind of economic relief? They're going to cut Social Security. You're going to have to pay for your parents. They're going to cut when they go after the agencies like they're going after, right? This is outlined in Project 2025. Russ Vought, who's going to be the OMB head, he was the OMB head the first time around. He wrote all the book on this stuff.
Okay, well, you bring up Project 2025.
When you cut agencies and go after them, and you fire all the inspector generals so that they're not being able to make sure that the agencies are working, who do you think profits from that? It's corporations. They're going to go after agencies that make sure your food is not full of botulism, that your air is not full of mercury, that your water is not full of C8. This is what they're going to do. Agencies exist to curb corporations from externalizing their costs and privatizing their profits. So it may be cheaper for a company to dump their chemicals into a river than it is.
Oh, and actually, I should never give these guys charity, because they never give me any charity. Do I want to? I will. Fuck, I hate myself for this. One thing that makes Sam's job a lot harder here, I think, is this was filmed in January, so we can't look at the same 6 weeks of unfucking mitigated disaster that the Trump admin has given to us all so far. He doesn't have any of that to draw from. He can just go by what Trump has said in his campaign. That being said, I still feel like Sam's not arguing as well as he could be, but
for them to dispose of it in a safe way. And so they get the profits from that, but the costs are borne by society. They're borne by society in the form of, like, people get cancer. They're borne by society in terms of, like, we've got to do the cleanup. That's what agencies do.
Pause. You've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your seat.
That's good.
Damn, I barely got to say anything. Rip.
Hey. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Okay, so I would like to touch on the religious fundamentalist aspect.
Yeah.
Are you an atheist?
I'm a Reformed Jew. I don't have a strong belief in the existence of God, but I don't think that religion in and of itself is bad.
Okay, so what's wrong with religious fundamentalists? So like when you said trans rights and women's rights or something like that?
Well,
no.
the problem I have with religious fundamentalists, and really more, I guess it's really theocrats,
My worst nightmare.
is
Okay.
that they want to impose their morality that comes from their religion on the rest of us. And I don't.
But morality, from your view, is going to be a preference, right? It's not morality; it's a preference.
What's
Oh my God, we've got hardcore religious debate, bro, coming. Uh-oh.
So morality without a foundation is going to reduce you to a preference,
well, I have a foundation for my morality.
which is what?
It's a humanist vision of what basically creates as little suffering as possible for as many people.
Okay, so you're like a consequentialist,
Oh God. Why?
utilitarian.
I don't really bother
it's
myself
fine.
with being a consequentialist or a
Okay.
utilitarian.
It's always going to reduce you to a preference. So if you say that killing is wrong and I say it's right, you would really have no contention with that.
Well, no, I don't base my understanding of civil society on religion. And so we have a civil society.
Okay.
We have laws that we have decided as a society in a
Yes.
democratic way. And for
Perfect.
some people, it's okay for it to be informed by their religion.
Okay, but this, I mean, Sam has to argue with him, I guess, because they sat down, but this argument is, the kid's next question is probably going to be, oh, okay, you're going by law. So if society passed a law saying murder was okay, would you be okay with that? Is that going to be the next one?
That's okay.
Okay, perfect. So if tomorrow society comes together and we say, hey, trans folks don't deserve rights, you would be okay with that?
Ooh, and he made it even better because he made it topical. So yeah, you can't do this one.
No, I would be against it, but I mean,
But now, on what basis? Why are we doing morality, religious debates? Oof.
it would be
They would be morally right under your
not
view.
morally right. No, I'm not
Okay.
talking about morals
Okay,
here.
so here's where I'm getting to. Right?
You have to be talking about morals, because if you're appealing to the law, but then when the law disagrees with you, which we must, right? Because when we lobby for laws to change, right? As citizens, sometimes we don't like the law and we want the law to change. So that means we must be appealing to something besides the law, right? But
Right? Religious foundations provide an ethical framework for one to live their life off
I
of.
believe you can have an ethical framework without religion.
And if we take the leftist view to its logical tail end, to its extreme view, you have low reproductive birth rates. You have a reproductive dead end, so two men together can't reproduce unless they have to take from a healthy straight couple. Religion provides this foundation where you do prioritize the nuclear family.
So do you have a problem with gay people
marriage?
being married?
It's not that I have a problem. I just don't see a justification for why they ought to be gay outside of it just feels good. Can you give me another justification for it?
he's not going to be able
Well, I
to.
think maybe that's the way they were born.
Okay, what about pedophiles?
People that
Are
are
they
pedophiles, yeah, this is an easy counter. Sam doesn't do morality or philosophy debates.
born that way?
They may be, yeah.
Okay, so should we let a pedophile off the hook since they were born that way?
No, I think we as a society is
Should
decided.
implement duties to prevent them from acting on that innate urge, correct?
Well, I think between consenting adults, it's a different thing than.
Okay,
than
so you're okay
preying
with
on
a
children.
45-year-old dad with a 19-year-old daughter as well? Incest.
No,
If they consent, you're okay with that?
no, I think society has also determined that it's like it's not beneficial.
Right,
for-
there's-
Can't, well, society's determined as beneficial, but he just brought up birth rates, right? Isn't having children like a beneficial thing for society? Like, yeah, it's.
duties and obligations that we have. So religion provides those duties. Life isn't about
Well, but
freedom
also
and
I can-
exercising what you want.
I mean, well, you want to impose your religious doctrine
No,
on me,
because
and I don't want that.
you just admitted we need duties. We have responsibility as a society to keep us functioning, to keep us thriving. Your leftist view, the liberal view, doesn't provide anything besides it just makes me feel good. Religion does.
How do you even respond to these questions? Well, Sam made the mistake of not being able to argue from a level of meta-ethics, like where his ethical positions come from. And so if you can't argue that, then anybody with any position is going to be able to basically lead you around all the standard arguments for why your ethical position is bad or inconsistent, especially if it's a person who's used to having philosophy arguments. The reality is, I feel like Sam should just say, although maybe he doesn't have the opportunity because he's doing a 1v20 debate, what you just say is that, like, I'm not here to debate ethics right now because it's a whole ass different conversation. But
So what's your argument?
this guy is not a Destiny viewer, or this guy is a Destiny viewer? No, this guy is, sounds like a religious guy.
What's my argument as to why I don't want
You have no
your
contention.
religion to? Well, because first of all, I don't think that you have the right to corner what God is telling us is right or wrong. And there are differences between religions. And so my argument is, you know, like, you're not going to keep halal or kosher, right? I mean, I don't believe that someone has a corner on religious truth, and the reason why we have
See, like this position is untenable from Sam, or it's inconsistent, it's incoherent, and Sam doesn't even believe it, because Sam will believe that people can have solid positions on what God commands or what some morality commands, because we're going to agree on criminal stuff, right? Criminal stuff is the bedrock of codified morality, because you're saying that the state has such an interest in this particular behavior that we can take away freedoms from you. We can take away rights from you because you're doing things that we've all agreed are morally bad. Yeah.
We have a democracy is because we didn't want a king. And the kings came from the idea that their God said that they're the ones who's supposed to be king. And so we can disagree on this. I don't want to live in a country that is ruled by religious fundamentalism.
And if I do, you have no issue with that.
And
Wait, he doesn't live in a society that's what? That's ruled?
to live in a country that is ruled by
Uh-oh. And we got a crucial misspeak. Oh, no.
religious fundamentalism.
And if I do, you have no issue with that.
And no. And this is why I say, under Trump, yes, you have won.
Yes.
You have a
Only
bunch
male
of
and
Christian.
female. You're right.
You have a
We
Christian
won.
nationalist,
Yes,
and
which is necessary.
And so I concede the point that under Trump, your Christian nationalism has gained an advantage
Yes.
under this.
Sorry, we're going
And
to have
so
more kids. We're going to have less abortions. We're going to have more family. We're going to have stable family households. Sorry about better
Trans
education.
people, gay people should be outlawed.
They should be straight. They should be straight.
Women should be secondary to their husbands.
Women should submit
right?
to the husbands.
Women
that doesn't
should
mean they.
submit to
That
the
doesn't mean they are
husbands.
slaves.
Right,
It doesn't
no,
mean they are
I
slaves. It means
understand.
they are
I
protected.
understand. You
Okay,
got
let
a
me ask you then. Let me ask you.
No.
So Sam is like on this, Sam is like 80% policy and maybe 20% ethics understanding, maybe. I don't know how often. I don't think Sam ever has these conversations. This guy on the right is way too philosophy broed, though, because there are way softer ways of embodying the moral claims that he has. You would never say that, like, women are slaves to men or whatever.
Should be secondary to their husbands.
Women should submit
right?
to the husband.
Like, when you say women should be secondary to husbands, he shouldn't say women should submit to their husbands. He should just say, no, women should be free to do what they're best at, which is raising children, as opposed to making them slaves to greedy corporation owners. Like, you agree they are, right? Corporations are bad, right? Why would we allow women to sell their labor when they could be better raised? Right? You phrase these things more positively. But maybe this guy is, like, way more hardcore than that, and he doesn't want to run the risk of that. I don't know. He's probably a YouTuber or something, but whatever.
Women
That doesn't
should
mean they.
submit to the
That doesn't mean they are
husbands.
slaves.
Right,
It doesn't
no,
mean they are
I
slaves. It means they are
understand.
protected.
You
Okay,
got
let
a
me ask you then. Let me
hierarchy.
ask you.
No.
Should
I
women
want
be
you-
drafted?
listen,
Should women be
listen,
drafted?
Listen, I think
If they're equal, should they be drafted?
I think this is the vision that you have, and I think Trump supports it.
Yes.
I think the Christian nationalists he has throughout his
How does this dude contend with people of other religions who say, well, my God said you're retarded? He can't. He either can't contend with them at all, or they go down some weird religious debate rabbit hole where they start arguing like scholarship of religious texts or whatever, which I don't know how he...
government are all going to work towards your vision.
Yes.
And my hope is that when people look at this, they say, hey, wait a second. I don't want my life to be dictated by the notion of a Christian nationalist prescription. Now, you may win out. I mean, certainly, like, if you look at a country like Iran, they have a theocracy there, and apparently that's, good for them if they want it.
My final point is, whenever
but
we
I
see,
don't want to live in a
my final point is,
theocracy.
whenever we see people live out Christian values to its full extent, we see a great society. When we see people deviate from that, that's where all the problems arise.
All right.
I
Pause.
think you are at home in the Trump.
Thank you very much.
You've been voted out.
talking.
Please return to your seat.